Today's podcast is sponsored by the guys in the Flag Jackets. Gary and Jim are the guys in the Flag Jackets. Every week, these two sit down and discuss a wide variety of political issues, all the way from the weird and wonderful world of local politics to more obscure political ideas and concepts. Ever wondered about the 1979 Chicago mayoral election? Well, I hadn't either until these guys came along and blew my mind. Or did you know that the layout of the ballot can have a crazy influence upon the way you vote? Neither did I, but thankfully Gary and Jim were there to tell me all about it. So if you want a fun and intriguing look into US politics from a unique perspective, check out the Guys in the Flag Jackets podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find the link in the description below. I have to admit, I used to be a little bit of a book snob. I wouldn't even consider a Kindle, let alone an audiobook. It just felt like cheating. But that is until I tried Audible and Open Audible. Ever wonder where I find the time to read all the books that my guests have written on this show? Well, this is the answer. When I'm behind in my reading, I just jump to audiobook. Open Audible is a cross-platform audiobook manager designed for Audible users that can allow you to download, view, manage, and connect your favorite audiobooks on MP3 so that you can enjoy them across all your devices. Best of all, you can control it all from a desktop application. I'm giving away a copy of Open Audible for the entire month of November. All you have to do is sign up to my mailing list. You'll find the link in the description below, or go to openaudible.org for more information. Right, good. You're not even going to listen? Like, so you can tell what the levels are like? This is literally what I hired you to do.
Tiny man, podcast internship.
You're getting paid in banana daiquiris, man. But yeah.
I'm making for no pay.
So if anyone's tuning in, hoping for a very intellectual and, well thought out discussion, you should just stop listening right now. This is episode number 300. I can't believe I got to 300 episodes. It's pretty mad.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Tiny round of applause.
So we're just going to get drunk and see where the conversation takes us. I guess that's the plan.
Sounds like Friday night.
Yeah, so I'll drink to that.
Well, cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Sláinte.
Sláinte. I'm not reaching the whole way over there.
No, fair enough.
Sláinte. I could do you. There you go. Lovely. So, the first thing to kick us off then anyway, and I said we want to talk about this, is Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter. I want to know whether you think it's going to succeed or whether Twitter will either go bankrupt or fall apart. So, who wants to start?
I mean, I think it'll keep existing for, I don't know how long, but at least for a bit. I mean, it's so ingrained in how people use the internet. Not myself, I don't use it. I had it once for a month and it was shit. I think it just started off, but I don't know. I think he's kind of fucked it though.
What makes you say that?
Well, the way he's fired so many engineers, it's maybe not on purpose. I don't know. I haven't spoken to the man, but it sounds like it's creating a very toxic work environment, at least in the engineering departments and the software departments of the company. Using that ancient metric of productivity based on how many lines of code you can write in a short time frame is fucked. No one does that anymore. Quality over quantity, right? And he got rid of, what was it, 11,000 or something? I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And core components as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the size of the people or the amount of the people. People that you don't want to lose from a programming or software industry.
I mean, I think his reasoning, from what I've heard, I haven't read a huge amount into why he fired 11,000 apart from the high level. It was a test, was a race on who could complete this blue tick feature, that the paid blue tick thing first, got this.
I don't know if that was the thing that was for everyone.
No, it was, but that's one of the things I heard. But it's they just essentially keeping the very senior ones who are very well experienced, and it's if you can do that, you can just do all the work. Then it's well, why do you think you have 11,000 other engineers? Is to help? It's a whole team. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I think there's been a lot of people at those big social media firms for a long time earning a lot of money to do very little. I read some stuff especially during the pandemic, where it was just we are getting nothing done. We are doing nothing new. We're spending hours on meetings about icons instead of actually figuring out how to make the platform better. And I know he might have gone a bit wild with it, but the thing's still running. like last week that was like, oh, it's gonna break. It'll be broken in 2 days, and they're still at like a record
I was
usership.
just gonna say I don't have much context, but like, is it so cool?
I mean,
Yeah, man, it's gonna get
Like,
wilder.
I
it's going to
think
get mental.
It's not.
No,
what
I
it's
mean,
gonna be.
is it still working? Like it is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but
not as
then
if... sorry.
forums work. You know, if it just turns into his own personal sort of 4chan, where you just pay to get this meme icon that you can then be like, haha, I'm the president, and it's like, yeah, sure. All you need is a few servers to run that. You don't need like entire teams of programmers to just run a forum. You can just, get people to just do it themselves. And
I do think there's a common misconception for, not generalized, but I tend to hear a lot from people who don't necessarily work in the tech industry on the engineering side or the development side of things, where engineers don't spend their days just keeping it running. It's not like they're like hamsters in a wheel or like Max in that cat wheel, you know what I mean? It's developing new features, it's fixing bugs, it's dealing with problems, innovating. They're not just there to be like, oh, make sure it's actually turned on today. Shit, what is it? Oh, no, it's working again. That's not what it is. I think that's I tend to hear that argument a lot from a few people who maybe aren't as ingrained in that like industry as a few others.
What are your thoughts on the on charging for the verification?
It's fucked.
You think so?
Yeah, well, it defeats the purpose, no?
No, but like, right, sorry, go ahead, and then I'll tell you why.
This morning I heard something of there's going to be like grey badges for government, blue badges for individuals, and another colour for like organisations. I don't know how that makes a difference, but they're going to charge for them all.
Yeah. It's like, right, okay, so why right, I think the charging is theoretically good. So why is it a bad idea? And then I'll explain why I think it's good.
I think what Twitter was fundamentally was a way of having contact between anyone, no matter what the degree of like level in society. So you can talk to the president and maybe get a response, and it might actually come from him typing it. But which is where the verification comes from, because you need to verify these people. So being able to just pay for it defeats that entire concept. So it's no longer a trustworthy platform to contact these people. So these people have no reason to use that as the way to have a presence online. Like there will be other people that will spring up, or programs, or social media apps or whatever that spring up that will be a way of being like, okay, well, this is where you get your verified. This is where you go and talk to that celebrity you like and immediately get a response from him, rather than having to like email some company.
I could see it working if they still had the functionality of, we actually do verify that you are, Donald Trump.
I think they're gonna do both.
Yeah, but
as far as I understand,
they should.
it's both.
Yeah.
I think it's
my
both.
understanding is they don't have that at the moment, because like you've seen tons of like fake accounts, like the fake Elon Musk one, the fake Donald Trump one, and stuff.
But that's because people who had initially verified accounts changed their name, because you can change your like screen name, but you can't change your like your like at, which is like your username. You can change like how it appears like on the thing when you tweet, but you can't change like the where people search for you at whatever. So if they were verified and they changed their name to Elon Musk, and then they put him as the profile picture, then it looks like a verified Elon Musk tweeting.
Right.
So that's what they were doing, which was fucking hilarious.
It's having real effects. Like companies are, getting hit by it, by people imitating them.
Wasn't that just a bit funny though?
What was that?
Because companies are now having to apologise and be like, no, sorry, we weren't actually going to give away free water or something. Like, actually, we do charge.
What was that?
food.
What was that pharma one that was like? I can't remember. What
they said they were going to stop charging for insulin.
they were going to make it free for everyone in America. It's just
But it's the fact that they had to come back and be like, no, we didn't actually say that. You do still have to pay.
Yeah. But like but the stock price like tanked on that like, but then it didn't recover. So like, was the company really worth that much in the first place?
I mean, probably not.
But yeah, right. Okay. So here's why I think the paying for it is a good idea in theory. I don't know whether how they're going to roll it out and execute it is going to be the way that it is going to end up working. But the reason I think it's potentially good is because, so my first book, Brexit, the Establishment Civil War.
Great read.
Go buy it.
Bit dry, but it's good.
Links in the description. I talked a lot about social media, and like a lot of like the basis, like the reason I started writing the book was because I was really concerned about how we were becoming the product on social media, and how the amount of data that we gave over to social media firms was then being used in a very like predatory and unregulated way by political parties to push their agenda, especially through like dark ads on Facebook and that sort of thing, right? That was like remember when Facebook was the big one? Yeah. So basically the entire problem centered around like, we are the product. Like companies will like harvest as much data as possible from us because that's their model. And it allows like any companies, like the Weapons of Math Destruction by Kathy Newman, I think it is. She like talks about how if people are searching for like therapy or having like mental health problems and they're searching on Google, all of a sudden they'll be getting hit with like antidepressant medication ads, like things that are like promising to make their situation better. It's like if people are searching for university, they'll be like hit with ads for like the most expensive, like high interest, like like colleges they can find. Like it's really predatory. And it's all based around the idea that we're the product, and the way that all these services are free is because they take our data and sell them on. So forever, I've been wondering, okay, is there a way that we can have like all of the benefits of social media without us being the product? And forever, like people have been like, oh, well, there's no way people will pay for it. There's no way. And for me, it's really interesting. We're just gonna see how it plays out. But to like suggest that people are gonna pay for it, and like there's a lot of talk about different like monetization strategies, which might end up them like scraping like tiny fees, and that's how they end up paying for it. Or and especially when like for all the people who are going to be wanting to pay for it, the journalists, like media personalities, a lot of the people are promoting shit they do online, right? I pay for Zoom in order to do this podcast because it gives you like 40-minute max on Zoom.
Yeah.
So and like sometimes I'm talking to people for 2 hours, so I need to get the premium one. So I pay like I don't know, like £10 a month for that, and I see that as a worthwhile investment for the thing I'm doing. It's like, why can't Twitter be like that?
I feel like there's a slightly different aspect to that, though. I would pay, depending on how much it was, I'd pay like a relatively small fee, not as much as what's Netflix now, like £13 a month. Back when Netflix was like a big thing, was like £5-6 a month. I would pay that to, say, for example, Meta, to have your Instagram and your Facebook and whatever else they own, if they deconstructed the entire architecture of echo chambers.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because like social media just is curated, or else it's just an endless stream of everybody's thoughts all at once, and you're not going to find that as engaging. My first thought is that
it would probably be an algorithm change, because those echo chambers are targeted. Like if you start to look up, say very far right or very far left, whatever it is, content on the internet, a lot of the advertised pages you're going to see is going to be a complete echo of that, and that's algorithmic. That's an AI. If they pulled that out and it was just like whoever pays the most, maybe for, well, I don't know.
I feel like
the odds, but
you would end up with a very sort of function over form sort of social media, where it's like, well, this is just a catalogue of people people in your area, or some way of searching people, and just information about them. There would be absolutely no sort of like engagement to it, because it would just be like, it'd be like a phone book, essentially, because if you take out the whole, like we say, curation of like media that's constantly sort of thrown at you, it's like you don't, because otherwise it's entertainment. Entertainment is like playing a game. You're just constantly progressing through it. All right. So if you took that away, you are just literally looking at, I mean, it wouldn't be entertainment. It would just be a resource, like a service.
It's just a list.
I think maybe it also depends on what you're defining as entertainment, because if you wanted to get, I mean, there's tons of people I follow on Instagram do some really interesting pieces of art, or some interesting pieces of music, and like other just people's lifestyle stuff, whatever. It's not news. It's not like, political content. I do think there should maybe be a separate space for that. It seems like I feel like we're getting to the point where we need to have some kind of separation between what is your day-to-day general interests that aren't political, which is very heavily weighted stuff mentally. That should have its own space that you voluntarily go into to look up. I go on Instagram to get some funny memes, have some shit chat with my pals, arrange a night out and look at some art or do whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going on there to find out about, how is Trump fucked up again, or like what's happening in the Middle East. I want to go somewhere else for that. I think there should be a separate space for that, but there's not, because you just get those echo chambers of targeted ads being like, look how terrible this thing is. I'm like, no. but I don't want to look at that right now because I'm a bit depressed.
Yeah, I think do you know what would be an interesting feature is like, if they could like if you could like dial the timeline, like you could go for like you could like select like general, right, and then or you could say right, well I prefer it to be like heavily weighted towards these topics. I still want to see some of these stuff, but like I'd prefer it to be weighted in this direction or this direction, or like it'd be really interesting if they if
Do you think the monetization will sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Filter some things out and make that sort of
Depends how it's done, I suppose.
yeah
I
think it'll be less bots.
100%.
Yeah.
But the people that are paying for it, they want to be there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and also they may not necessarily be the same topics that you're talking about, etc., etc. But would it filter out the bullshit, as I want to call it?
I think the sorry, go on.
Well, it would probably skew it a lot because suddenly you would have a lot of people that's even though it's a small amount, there is a huge portion of people that would just be like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Like I can't afford that. I just can't afford that expense, or I just don't want to spend that money because it's just I don't have much money.
Yeah.
And so it would skew it to suddenly the most vocal opinions on this social media of just people who can at least get above that barrier, which I feel like would, I don't know.
So like are you saying the problem for you is basically like that because they're still gonna have free accounts, but like they're gonna be like much like less heavily weighted in terms of like how much they appear in the timeline. That's what they've said, right? That there's going to be like
Also, it's not completely monetized.
No, it's going to
Okay.
be no. They're still going to be free. Like everyone can still get free account,
Okay.
right? It's just that the ones that aren't free won't have the verification and won't. There's going to be other features they haven't said what yet. And there's going to be like they'll be like higher ranked in the algorithm, so that like you're more likely to see things from verified accounts than not, right? And that's their way of like trying to filter out the
Sort of pay
bots
to
and
win.
trolls.
I was about to say pay to win.
Yeah. In terms of what you see, because like I think it also depends like how you view Twitter. It's like, are you viewing it as someone who goes on to look and see what's going on? Like you're going on to see like the stuff you're seeing from like the 100 like big people that you follow who are probably paying for it because it's part of their career, or are you going on to see like what your mates are saying? You know, I like
Maybe, but I feel like Twitter, what it is as a concept, is kind of now ingrained into human society of just having some way of us all talking to each other. Should always exist. Like I feel like if it suddenly just stopped, and tomorrow like they would be so quickly replaced. And so having this sort of paid service on top of it kind of controls a huge tool of humanity. Like it's like saying, oh, we've invented the wheel, but if you pay an extra £5, we'll shave the corners off this square.
no, it's probably more like a hexagon. It still works.
Yeah,
Like-
like it'll roll if you push it hard enough. But
seen that joke
you
about
pay
that.
more.
I've seen the joke about like all the engineers that got fired. They go to an investor and go, right, here's the idea. It's Twitter, but without Elon. How's that?
I don't know. I think it's going to get wild, man. They've just said that they're going to amnesty all banned accounts that didn't get banned for breaking the law. That's like the things are going to get really wild.
It's
And
mad.
I am interested to see what happens because like as much as maybe there's reasons that some of those people were banned. It's like okay, but then as soon as you have a place where people are getting banned from, especially in like the thousands that they were, especially like when they got very trigger happy with it for things that were questionable, shall we say, like Alex Berenson had to fucking sue and he got back on, but he had the fucking money to sue them and take them to court. He was going to get the reason that Twitter settled is because he was going to get, the judge had granted him discovery, which means that he could like subpoena or ask for loads of like internal emails, like whatever he wanted. And that they were going to get 2 Twitter executives on the stand. And that's when they were like, actually, you can have your account
You come back, right?
Yeah.
Let's chill. Let's chill. Water under the bridge, mate.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I think that once if you accept like the level or how crazy they got with the bans, right? Then you're accepting that you're fine with that thing being a very curated sense of reality. It's like, it's all like, I don't know how they're going to manage to keep it from not being just people screaming like
Wild West, man.
yeah. But I don't think that's where they're going to go with it. I still think there's going to be like things you can't say in terms of like, yeah, profane language, racial slurs, that sort of stuff is probably still going to get you like banned like that.
Criticizing Elon Musk.
I was thinking about like, I think he did the wrong thing with the parody stuff, but like I was actually thinking about this. And the biggest problem the reason that he probably was banning people, I don't think was a sense of humor thing. Although I could be wrong. I still think it was wrong to do, but I think it was litigation. The amount of people like, and the amount of press who would be with the state of journalism these days, who would see like one of the verified accounts that had changed their name and were parodying him, saying something stupid, and they would run it as a story. And then you know how fucking fast like the media works these days. No one checks shit. Like, and it would have just like spiraled into like endless numbers of lawsuits. So I think that's why he did it, and not because of a lack of sense of humor. But I still think he probably should have just been, well, it could be both. I still think he should have probably just let them have at it. And
Elon Musk, if you're listening, you're a fucking tit.
yeah.
Find me.
But anyway, let's get off this and onto something fun.
I'm glad that was the last word said about that, though. That feels like full circle.
Yeah, perfect. Great way to like segue. So you were telling me that you have some fun stories about Speaker's Corner.
Oh, yeah. Speaker's Corner in London, Hyde Park. Have you guys ever been?
No.
Yeah, I've been a few times.
You've been a few times? Mental, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy.
mate, it's like...
Would you like to
proper
explain
human
for the
service.
ladies and gentlemen what Speaker's
For
Corner
anyone
is?
listening at home, Speaker's Corner is a corner in Hyde Park. I don't know which one. It's one of the many corners in Hyde Park.
Speaker's Corner.
Speaker's Corner. Maybe that's exactly the one.
By Marble Arch.
Is it? Is it the northwestern part of it or northeast part?
big
I can't remember.
arch.
Yeah, it's
the
about that way.
corner.
I think you're right. Can't miss it. It's full of people shouting at each other like on every Sunday, like in the afternoon, and you just go and you have complete free speech to talk about whatever you want. Most commonly, from what I've only seen it like a handful of times, but from what I've seen, it's been a lot of religious preaching a lot of the time from various faiths. Fair enough. The odd time though, you get somebody spouting like some mental stuff. One guy I saw was preaching about the coming of the third alien. The third alien, never mind the first or second one, but the third alien.
Well, who was the first and second? Roswell
idea.
and the guys that built the pyramids.
The pyramids. We're going to go down a fucking rabbit hole. Like, I don't know. I didn't really listen much to him, but I remember I was walking past and I was smoking a funny cigarette with a friend of mine, and he just sort of slowly, this crowd just began gathering more and more, because everyone was like, hang on a minute, what's he talking about? The third alien? Just some random old boy, maybe in his 70s, just like up there, dressed pretty nicely. Whenever I heard what he was talking about, I was kind of expecting to see like some guy who's really off piste. That was a normal old dude, but like committed that this was the absolute truth. It was crazy. I mean, you got to go down. It's great fun. There's always a fight as well. They've got like loads of police around it and stuff. Because people always
When is it?
kicking off.
What happens every Sunday?
I think it's every Sunday, right? Or
You
is
just
it every
have to
select
sort
Sunday?
of shout what you want. I mean, I thought it was just every day. I thought it was just that was the place you could
I thought
go.
it was only on Sundays. I might be. I
'Cause,
don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I every time I've been to Hyde Park,
I think it's
there's been
mainly
people shouting in
Sundays.
Speaker's Corner. I don't know if it's. I've just coincidentally only been there on Sundays. But I thought my favourite was probably this really. It was this really short dude, but he brought a stepladder, and so he was like sort of towering above everyone, just sort of screaming about hellfire, and it was quite entertaining. He didn't really say much, but like he had passion, and
You gotta love the commitment.
yeah.
I don't think I have the balls to go up and like genuinely in public. I know this is technically public, but I mean in front of people in real life in the centre of London and be like, I am certain what I'm saying is true. Everyone should listen.
How
I
many
have
people
balls to
turn
it.
up? Like, is it?
Quite a lot, man. Like dozens of people. Yeah.
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 Yeah, because I think sometimes you get people who are from
Like-
churches or whatever or faiths that bring people to listen.
Yeah. Or you get like YouTube preachers
Aye.
Yeah.
and like YouTube. Your guy, what's his name? Mohammed Hijab. He's definitely been down there a few times.
Freaks me. Do you remember the lady in Belfast? The preacher lady? Do you remember her? Would always stand outside like Primark and was like proper like gospel.
Oh yeah. With the loudspeaker.
Yeah, with a loudspeaker one. She was crazy. You know, do you know what happened to her? She got sectioned.
She got sectioned.
Sectioned. No, she got put away. I think she got arrested first and then got sectioned because she appeared maybe we were back in uni. It was that like 5-6 years ago? So it was maybe 10 years ago. She sort of started to appear. I remember, and it was started off just like normal preaching, and everyone was like, "Man, she is a bit odd though." Like she was like approach you and like throw like the microphone at you and stuff. And I was like, "Whoa, it's a bit odd." Until I think eventually one of the many shops, like this is like right on the high street in Belfast as well. One of the shops I think was like, "Right, we're gonna call the cops because you can't just stand outside our store. We're like scaring off all our customers." Fair enough. Like fair enough.
Yeah.
And then they realized, oh no, you've got serious mental health issues. You're being sectioned. So she's off the streets. Bastion of Belfast history right there, like gone.
Gotta love the commitment.
Gone to the ages.
Love the passion though.
I used to love her, man. She was mental.
It's like there's something about when you're hearing like people like scripture booming from like a really tinny amp like echoing down the street. Yeah.
Is that the crazy story, the third alien?
The third day was a crazy one. All the rest of them was just like religious people just being like, come read my book.
Okay.
You're all wrong, I'm right. I'm like, sweet man, I'm going to the pub.
What if he was right? What if you missed? What if that was like your opportunity?
If you was right, mate, I'm fucked.
Well, one of the times I was there was on 420 on the Hyde Park.
Oh,
celebration.
that's
What's 420?
It's,
I'm not wearing
it's just the 20th of April. But we all hang out in the park, and everyone gathered into the speaker's corner afterwards. And it was great. It was probably the biggest crowd that had ever been there. There was a few hundred people just around like one or two speakers, and they were loving it. Like like
to be fair, that 420 would be mad actually.
just like a huge audience of people who were just encapsulated. Like they just can't look away.
Amongst the haze. That London cloud.
yeah, the smog. That's what it must have been.
That's what it was. Yeah, there's something in the air
That night.
I think, yeah, maybe.
The stars so bright. Fernando, no.
Let me get guitar out. Come on.
You could do that if you want. I'll grab the guitar, man.
Nah, I won't make anyone's ears bleed tonight. It's
Oh,
fine.
you could serenade the internet.
I've tried before. Didn't work. Not a good reception.
How do you serenade the internet?
You put a song on YouTube, don't you?
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's just a grandiose way of saying it.
Serenading the internet. It's actually quite a nice way of putting it.
Did the internet not fall in love with you?
I didn't pay attention after the first day, so I don't know. I actually might be a viral sensation without even knowing it.
There's been people
Let's
like
not find out.
A&R agents
You
searching
know what?
for you.
Let's just not find out. Let's just not do that. Let's just pretend it happened.
Maybe we'll be walking down the street somewhere in like 30 years' time and get rid. Some woman will like run up to you and be like, oh, "It's you."
You're the 28-year-old version of that 16-year-old boy I saw
Yeah.
on the internet last week. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me, love. I had hair back then.
Still got your picture on my wall.
Yeah, I listen to your song every day.
I painted the mustache on you as well.
That's brilliant.
That's weird.
Isn't it?
Yeah. You guys ever put anything strange out in the internet for everyone to see?
I've
Like
put-
properly public?
I have some animations up on
Oh, yeah?
on YouTube.
yeah.
Like maybe like 30 views.
Plug them. You might get
Baller.
like 5 more.
Cool. Search for IMS, IMSS. You can't find it because there's a Chinese marketing company called IMS that just absolutely swamps the YouTube. So
They fucked
Pay to
you. They
win.
fucked you.
pay to win.
Pay to win.
Yeah, every time I put something up new and I'll put the exact title in, and it's like, no, I've just got a 4-hour talk. But most of them are like pretty. Because it's animation, I'm not very good at it, so I spend a lot of time making one joke, and as I get weeks into the project, I slowly realise just how bad and sort of cringy the joke is, and that it was merely just 5 seconds of me laughing at my own joke. And
Does it come back around?
Now I'm like, not usually, but I'm like now months into the project, and it's kind of like, well, I can't stop now, so I've just got to make it and put it up, and then I get like one comment which is like, this is shit, and it's like, oh, cool. Yeah. I've got a few followers. Though.
Yeah.
I think I've got like maybe 100 subscribers over all the websites I'm on.
Nice.
If you're on Newgrounds, go on Newgrounds and search me, but don't look at anything else. It's all really weird on there.
Which new
That's why you're on it.
It's an animation hub, so
that
it's
was-
only animation, but obviously it brings out like all of the corners.
That
of
was like the
animation.
dark side of Miniclip when we were kids.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Newgrounds. I remember that, man.
Mini clip.
I'm not into any of this, man. Like, where have I been?
Oh, it's just on the internet.
I'm not
On
caught
Twitter?
up.
You're drifting through life, man.
I don't know, yeah.
Get yourself on Newgrounds and play with them weird animation games, man.
Yeah.
Sort you right out.
They've had to archive a lot of them because if few years ago, Flash got discontinued, and so it was something like 80,000 Flash games or something were just suddenly not usable. So this websites had to archive everything, and they had to build their own programs to just like replay them, because it was just everything used before a certain year in animation was on Flash, and so now you can't use it anymore.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, literally just archives of stuff. There was like animators coming up like, this started my career, and now no one can ever see it again.
That is actually quite sad.
But people have
Is there
made
no
programs
is there no like, I don't know, Flash emulator? Am I showing my ignorance
A lot
here?
of stuff just got deleted because a lot of stuff just got like just lost and discontinued. You know, old websites from the early days of the internet, which had like the first video on.
Pizza Hut's
stop.
like original delivery website is still up.
it?
Yeah. From like 97,
Is it better than the Domino's one?
probably.
Website from Space Jam and stuff.
From
Wow.
Space Jam.
Fucking right.
Ooh.
Fucking right. You guys have just reminded me of something I had repressed at the back of my memory for a very long time.
Oh, please. Spill
But
your
that one
guts.
time I made a website.
Oh.
I thought, as a kid, on Miniclip. Hang on, do you know what Miniclip is? You like looked weird at me. You don't know what fucking Miniclip is.
I'll-
You're sitting here on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's like, I remember there was a video site that like used to be, that I used to
Video
use.
games?
Okay, then I definitely don't know.
You
it.
guys know Miniclip, right?
know Miniclip.
Yeah.
No,
right.
wait, hang on.
Miniclip
like-
like, play Flash games as a kid.
Oh, yeah, no, hang on.
The original 8-ball pool, man.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you now.
So-
because we used to play it in like when we had like computer,
Exactly.
like we had IT or like computer suite things.
Media studies back
yeah,
then,
media
back
studies,
then,
or like
music class.
you know they take you into the computer suite to do your English class, and you spend the entire time playing games. Yeah,
That's it. So I remember as a kid, I was like fucking addicted to all that shit, right? And Newgrounds as well, all the dodgy side. I feel like I was like real edgy and all. I was like, I reckon I could make a website like this. And in my naivety as a kid, I thought how you made a website was I found one of these free sites that like creates one for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I called it like davidpollock.com, like my fucking name, being like, that'll catch on. I'll be on billboards in no time. And I just copy and paste. Oh yeah, go check it out. davidpollock.com. Right. It's definitely
Can I
still
search
there.
it?
can you see if that
still up?
still
Yeah,
exists?
can you actually see that?
I had one of
There.
those.
Well, what I did was I just copy and pasted the image and the like. Miniclip, if you guys remember, was just like a list of thumbnails on a screen with like the blue text link to play the game, right? And I copy and pasted the thumbnail and the text onto my website, and I filled up this whole page, and it looked just like I spent days doing this, man. Like at different tabs, different pages for different categories. Holy shit, is that it?
Is
Get
it?
away. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just
Sorry, I was off mic there. Nah, probably not. Maybe that was the website. I
Jamie's
used.
currently verifying if it still
You
exists.
can tell because the laptop's taken off over there.
Leafy
And I just-
dog.
Yeah, it's trying to run OBS and Brave at the same time.
It redirects to a website called leapydog.com.
Maybe that's the one I used to set up a free site because one was like dodgy ones. But
Leapy dog.
I just made it look like Miniclip. Whenever you clicked on any of the game links, it just took you to Miniclip. Because what I did was copy and pasted fucking HTML or URLs.
Yeah.
But in my dad's like, oh, I made a website now. I own these. And I was like trying to work out how to monetize it as a kid. Entrepreneur, really. But yeah, I got shut up by my dad because I got loads of viruses after doing that.
Nice.
It was some
Nice,
dodgy
nice.
site.
I did that with LimeWire. Trying to download Green Day songs.
It's
You
like a
got them
day,
there.
and you just destroy your computer in the process.
Could have just bought the CD. I prefer to roll the dice. I'm wild like that.
Do you spend much time on the dark web by any chance? Speaking
No,
of dice,
no, I'm not. I'm not a big dark web dude, but I've only done it once.
What'd you look for?
I'd like
Be honest.
I was on it for like 5 minutes, and like I actually don't even remember what I was like actually searching for. I just remember there was just like big lists, and I had no idea what to do. I was like, this is kind of boring, and just logged off.
You guys ever been on it?
Yeah, I've been on it a few times.
Yeah.
Never.
What for?
Library archives.
Library archives.
Yes.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
Yeah.
No, but there is actually library archives on there. Like pretty much most governments in the world use like the darknets to just put stuff on. Like,
Yeah.
Just have loads of stuff on it, so you can go through like different categories.
What's it like?
There's a lot. I mean,
Give me
it's just
some-
forums and links.
It's like like Google,
Like-
Google
like a
Chrome,
website.
right? You know how it's all white and stuff. It's just that, but darker. It's just like night. It's just night mode. It's like
every so often, it's like dangerous man just pops up on the screen. You've got to fight him off. Like,
Give me fucking money. You're like, no, I'm on a computer.
Yeah,
But,
I've never been on that.
No, it's just
never even had the incentive.
because a lot of people use it for the same thing. You know, there's like versions of Reddit on the darknet, so it's essentially just totally like open source sort of moderated things.
Okay.
Aren't connected to companies and things.
It is interesting. Although the Tor browser, I think, is actually quite a good if you want to access, like, not that I do, government agents that are listening, access Pirate Bay to, like, download a movie or something, because I definitely don't do that.
You're on a list.
I'm on many lists. I'm an Irishman with a British passport, mate. I'm on a few fucking lists. What was I going to say? Yeah, Tor browser is actually quite good because it got a built-in VPN.
Yeah, so
It's
it's
actually good
Brave.
for accessing and stuff. I'm Brave as well, yeah. I like the Tor browser, man. It's good. It's really nice. I quite like it. I got it a couple years back. It is good. Sometimes the odd site will load up in like some random language, which is a bit odd, and you refresh and it's back to English again, but it's worth it.
It's a bit of fun.
It's a bit of fun.
Bit of fun.
Learn a bit of Swedish, learn a bit of Mandarin, you know.
You just
whatever.
look at a language and learn it, can you?
That's how it's done, Josh, actually. Julian,
Man, I've been
fuck.
doing it wrong. I was just getting drunk with people and then hoping I would absorb it.
That does work on holiday, to be fair. When you get brave enough. Fuck, on holiday last year, man, I thought I was brave enough to speak French. Oh my god, what an idiot. Just kept saying the word like side of the mountain over and over again because I was off skiing and the guy was like, yeah, I got it. And I was like, oh, did you know I mean on it? Drunk people are very confident in languages.
It helped when I was learning German to be drunk a
That's
lot.
right, you speak German, right? Are you like fluent now or what?
I mean, I wouldn't describe it as fluent.
Or
I'd have
did you
a,
move there and like ingrain yourself in society and like people would be like, I know he's not fluent in German, but like I know what he's doing, I know what he's saying.
yeah,
Yeah. Fucking fair play to you, man.
I had to.
Yeah.
Didn't really have much choice, man. And then like 12 hours a day, whilst a bit drunk, talking to Germans, like you lose your inhibitions with like having to speak that language after a while. Really helps. Really, really helps.
German's not too far off as well, so it's quite.
Yeah, and they're very German about it. They have their rules and they follow them. You know, it's not like the French where they have the rule and then every second word is the exception to the fucking rule. It's like
French is so difficult, man.
it's such a pain in the fucking ass.
Do you guys speak any languages?
No, I went to like a primarily language studies school and basically dropped out of everything and then failed foundation French. I did Latin, German, French, and I did a bit of classics, which was like Greek study. But I could never get it. I could never like I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean I guess it's just repetition and. But it just wasn't for me. I couldn't retain it. I don't know. I feel like it just was too. I don't know. You can't do anything with, like. I mean, you can do lots of things with a language, but you can't. You're not doing something when you're learning it. You're just sort of repeating words and reading.
I get what you
things,
mean. I get what
like,
you mean.
You know, I feel like I pick up more things faster when I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Than
that's
just sitting
definitely.
there and learning from a book. I just find that hard to.
Yeah. I sucked at German in
And I
school.
was a shit.
Are you suggesting that we should have a small break and come back to
Yeah, I'll
this?
go for a fag. Is that
Yeah.
really bad?
No, that's
In the
fine.
middle of your podcast.
Yeah.
No.
I get a beer
And we could
without
get
interrupting
we'd
the
take
podcast.
Yeah, I got
small
standing up because my feet are
interlude.
like kind of cramped
You
on
can
here.
just
'cause
leave it
it's
running, and
like,
I'll just
right
cut
here.
the middle of it out.
You sure you want to be recorded the whole time?
I don't really care. I'm gonna cut it out and delete it.
Fine.
So okay, ladies and
too.
gentlemen, we will be back more inebriated.
Goes runs and all.
Thanks for that, Jamie. We're back.
You're going to introduce your friends, you
Somewhat.
fucking shitbag.
Yeah, thank you. Somewhat more inebriated, and it's been pointed out that we didn't do proper introductions. So, gentlemen, would you like to explain who you are?
Left of the dealer, mate. That's you.
Yeah, I'm Zach. What do you want to know?
How well, I don't know. Maybe explain how I know you, or
So yeah, we met at Latitude a couple of years ago. Was it Latitude or was it Leeds?
Leeds.
Leeds, and I remember this is the funniest story because it's an inside joke between me and you. But I was talking to Amelia, and you came up to me, and I was like, "That's a face I know." And then I was like, "Oh, just a minute, mate. I'm just talking to the manager. I'll be right with you in a minute." Like trying to be all professional and like nice, like obviously just a face I'd seen recently. And I was like, and then afterwards, obviously, if you know, you know. That's a very funny
you know.
joke because.
Oh man, you don't need like inside jokes are not good for this shit. Anyway, Dan,
Um,
who are you?
I'm Dan. I met Josh at a festival. Leeds is a festival, by the way, just for
Yes.
clarification.
Yeah.
Leeds is a place. It's also a festival. We did work at festivals or volunteering. We eventually got paid. I think we all got paid
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it a few years. Eventually got paid for it.
Thanks, Hotbox.
Except I met you at Festival, which was a kids' festival. Which you were very eager to be at. You know.
That sounds like Josh.
But yeah, and then been to a few festivals.
Very eager.
Thanks. Trash my reputation. I get to 300. I finally decide, you know what? I'll celebrate. I'll invite some friends on. We'll have some fun. And then you just decide to ruin my career.
Well, I'm just saying. You were excitable. It was a good festival.
Fantastic festival.
We saw Human. Was it Human League? And the Whalers.
Yeah, we saw the Whalers. That was
Stage.
special. Yeah. We saw the Venga Boys.
The
I
Venga
didn't see
Boys.
Venga Boys. I
The
was working
Venga
on
Boys. Okay, I saw the Venga Boys.
Wicked.
That was a wonderful 20 minutes because that's all they got. 20 minutes.
It's all I got. It's all you need.
Yeah, but true.
True.
More to the point, Leeds and Alex Turner, you
Yes.
were mental. You
Yes.
were crazy.
Because it was wonderful and the Arctic Monkeys might be the greatest band on the planet right
Be
now.
very careful what you say on the podcast, Josh. I love Matt Healy, by the way.
We'll get on to how Zach would suck Matt Healy's dick later on. And Dave,
Yeah, I'm not going to break the fourth wall and look into the camera because that feels a bit odd. But I'll talk to you. Yeah, I'm David. I've known Josh for like 10, 11 years. Yeah, we met first year uni. Old Josh moved in with the man behind the camera here, our Jim, in uni, and Josh and I fucking hated each other, man. There was like some like classic like 18-year-old alpha male testosterone. This is my fucking house. Who are you? Type shit in a house full of girls as well. It was even like more apparent, and yeah, then we just fell in love afterwards. Also, I'd like to point out that I think within was it in the first few weeks that Jim and Josh met in the house. Jim put him in his phone as a male housemate, and to this day, 11 years later,
Still haven't learned his name.
still haven't learned his name. Male housemate in the phone. Amazing. He's all right. Like, podcast is a bit shit, but he's all right.
does the job.
Dry.
Yeah. So
Where was that noise?
that is actually Max's food.
Oh, I thought Max was down there.
No, it's just his food. Means we don't have to remember to
Do the
feed
people
him.
know who Max is? Has everyone met?
Yeah, Max has been on several previous episodes at
Licking
this
his
point.
bollocks, wasn't he?
Licking his balls, yeah. Yeah, check that out. Anthony Janot, like about 40 minutes in.
So you're going to get the exact time snap.
Yeah, it's about I think
42:39.
No, it's about 40 something. Like
Well,
right
watch.
right before it hits 41 minutes and Max appears.
Top quality internet content. Like
Max just has some strong opinions.
he's actually sat right there too.
It was
Where
right where you're sat.
Well, I feel like I should live up to the name.
Go on there.
Not these jeans.
So the Twitter poll told us that two things that we had to discuss: GameStop, which I'm sure we will get to, but first, aliens. Dave, as a physicist, give us your take
I'd like to clarify first of all, not a physicist. Just studied at university. That's not my job.
as a physicist.
So you're like a scientist then?
I'm a data scientist. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So definitely
You
not
are-
physics.
I was making a joke then, but you are actually
No,
a
yeah,
data
yeah.
scientist. So
In a sense. Well,
So as a physicist,
yeah, as a practicing professional physicist, highly acclaimed, highly published, multiple PhDs,
widely cited.
infallible in my knowledge of the physical world, aliens definitely exist. I'll tell you for why, though.
Why?
You guys have heard of the Drake equation? You guys have
Yes.
heard about this?
Drake and Josh.
I
Almost.
fucking wish they made up this equation. It would be way more interesting. But Drake equation is essentially calculating the probability for intelligent life, at least as intelligent as human life, somewhere out there in the universe, right? Takes into account things like how many stars can we see, and two, do we actually think there are when you extrapolate that out, right? How many galaxies are there? How many stars in those galaxies? And how many planets that are rocky that could possibly sustain life in a habitable zone? I've had too many alcoholic drinks now. Exist around those stars. When you plug all those numbers in, and we know these things. Like we've researched them as people, like scientists. They know what these numbers are. You come out with like 99.9 repeating probability that intelligent life exists somewhere else in the universe, at least as intelligent as humans.
There you go.
I feel that there's definitely more reason for than against, because
Oh yeah.
to be against would just be to just deny that we had the chance to exist.
Yeah, we're not that special. Like
Yeah.
it's like Murphy's Law.
Okay, right. But, right. You see those fucking videos that the US government keeps releasing, and the reports that they were meant to release about it that they've now decided are going to be heavily redacted. And
It's not like them.
the reports from the New York Times that apparently the Pentagon told them, this is the New York Times, as much as I
Google
dislike the New York Times. It was the New York Times that said this, not me, that the US military has crashed off-world vehicles. That's what they said. Not my words. The New York Times. Right?
Well,
So, right. But, like, right. All these videos that the US government are catching and like, the reports, like, Commander David Fravor, who, like, was given the okay to go out and talk about, like, the things that he saw, like, the ships or whatever you want to fucking call them. Are those aliens? Are we being fucked with?
well, if they're off-world, they're probably not a fucking human, mate.
No, but who says they're telling the truth about that bit?
Well, the government tells no lies because all conspiracy theories are wrong. So obviously, it's true.
Okay, but like, right?
I believe every word the government says
Okay,
Yeah,
at all times.
we are good citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean,
What you're saying outside submissive?
I do really want to think that we have actually, that, like, Roswell was actually Roswell, and that there were.
You think that Roswell was actually a
No,
crash
that's
thing?
not what I said. What I said was, name that fucking quote, by the way.
No,
one, Django Unchained. Idiots. Anyway, I hope that we do actually have some kind of contact with other life. That would be fucking class. And if they haven't blown us up yet, it's probably grand. It's probably grand.
I mean, if they get to us, they've got to be way more advanced than us.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Especially if we don't see them before they get here.
Sneaky.
What?
What if we are seeing them? What if that's what all these videos that the US government and the military have been releasing, things that people have been seeing shooting across the moon, like there's loads of fucking weird videos out there that, like, many of which have been released by the military.
So,
Like, is that them? Like, have we already contacted them? Like, have we? Do we know they exist?
There's an organization in America, I think. I don't know if it's like a global organization. But is it like SETI? Mm-hmm. So they deal,
Search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
So they have like a set of rules, which is what happens if we get contacted. And I think number one is like don't respond, because the idea is that if we get contacted, it means that something's at least it advances us, but possibly more because it's got to us before we've got to it. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, do we actually want the influence of something that could essentially just see us as ants?
Do we want them to know that we can talk back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do we maybe want to just sort of like hide under the radar until we realise what it is that's actually talking to us?
Yeah, but like, right, but
So maybe
but
they have
by the
them, they
videos that the government have been releasing, seems like there's either it's they're already here and they're admitting it, but we're just not acknowledging that that's what they're admitting, or it's like their next gen military tech and they're pure flexing for China and Russia to be like, holy shit, what the fuck is that?
Maybe. I mean, that's what Area 51 is just high tech government military stuff.
Yeah.
It's
You
like-
guys heard of DARPA?
Yeah.
Heard of DARPA?
Don't get me started.
I'm not going to do a blind boy podcast thing here. Sorry to shout out another podcast on yours, but, like, you know, he's fucking class. And he's also Irish, so, like, I love him. But he did a little, I remember one of his episodes, he talked about the technology that DARPA has. And you go on their website. But I highly recommend spending an hour on DARPA's website and just read about the shit that they're doing. It's mental. One of them is this, like, 3D printing, self-printing house and, like, self-repairing house and self-maintaining. Now, their idea is like, well, we'll put it on the moon or on Mars and it'll be part of the colony and whatever else. There are industry experts in that type of material engineering or science that are like, we literally have no idea how this works. How does that one organization with like a relative handful of scientists have cracked this, but every other leading expert in the world has no idea how it's done?
You ever heard of the black budget?
Well, yeah, there's the black budget too.
What's,
I guess.
Explain the black budget.
It's just like a massive amount of like military intelligence spending in the US that's just like basically you're never going to find out what the fuck it's for. And they barely report like what the actual spend is. It's just like incredibly secretive part of the budget.
Like government fund tokens.
Yeah, like really like hot, like top secret like stuff. So it's shit. Like, can you look up for me actually? What do you reckon, Hank? Right, Jimmy, you look it up here. Before you look it up, put it on the 4-way camera, maybe.
You were so close to saying that Joe Rogan thing, weren't you? You were this fucking close.
Pull that up, Jimmy.
No.
You doing all right? Okay. My laptop's fucked. What's it doing?
It does sound like it's taken off, to be fair.
Hang on, let's have a look.
I think
You
we're,
leaving
I think we're going
any
to cut this bit out.
You're no cranky laptop.
I don't know enough about it.
You don't know enough about aliens, but who does know enough about aliens? Really?
I don't really. I'm out of my depth here.
It was already.
What would you do if an alien contacted you?
I just use that.
Firstly, I'd be like, "What the fuck's happening?" Secondly, probably nothing.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean,
What would you do if you
I
were
mean-
in an ET-like situation? So you like threw a tennis ball into a shed, and it got thrown back, and then you walk in, and there's a little goblin sort of alien creature. What would you do? Would you keep it? Would you give it into the government?
Oh man, you have to keep.
Give it
I
a
guess
name.
I guess I would try and communicate. Like,
You have to keep
just
him.
threw the tennis ball back.
I'd keep
Bit of
him.
food.
Hey.
But like, right, okay. While Jimmy's looking this up,
I've got it for you.
okay, wait, hang on. So before Jimmy like tells us what what have you got, like the annual black budget, an estimate of the annual black budget, right? Okay. What do you think it is? Let's take a guess, right? Each of us take a guess.
3.7 trillion.
It's 3.7 trillion, right? Okay.
Man, do you even know how to do miles? That's mad.
No, you never know.
I'm going to go... Oh, my goodness. I'm going to go something like 950 billion.
950 billion. Okay, Zach.
500 trillion.
500 trillion. That's Zach. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna tell you, right? You're gonna get a second guess because that's
Imagine on the Price is Right or something.
Like, yeah.
How much is this washing machine? 300 trillion.
yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like that's probably more
That
than
in Zimbabwean
that's more.
dollars
That's
or
probably
US
like
dollars?
more than all of the money that exists on the planet.
Or ever
Okay,
has
okay.
ever.
So
Okay.
yeah, if you don't count the derivatives market, really, the derivatives market is like something like 2 quadrillion.
724 billion.
724 billion. Okay, I'm gonna go with 650 billion.
Jim, what do I have?
Users are mad. The black budget can be complicated to calculate, but in the United States, it has been estimated to be over 50 billion per year, taking up approximately 7% of the US 700 billion American defense budget. But
But
in 2018, some newspapers reported that the Trump administration asked for 81.1 billion for the 2019 black budget. So it's on the way up.
Of course it is.
how do you work out how much more you need? Like, all right, you know what, Mr. Trump, black budget, I know you asked for it, right? It's 50 billion US dollars. You could do literally anything you want on the face of God's green earth and get away scot-free with that. Is that all right? No. I want an extra 31.1 billion. How do you work that out? What the fuck's that for? Who told him? Oh, by the way, Mr. Trump, to get re-elected, he actually another $31.1 billion on top of that.
Oh man, that'll be.
How do you work that out?
It's like
Who
right.
does those sums?
Raytheon, Boeing, and like all of the biggest like military contractors in the US will just come to them and be like, "Look, Donald, Don,
Donald. Mate.
Don.
Here, mate. Fucking up, buddy. I'll paint you on the night for us.
yeah,
3 billion. Come on now.
yeah."
Go, mate.
People are like, it's not his money.
Do you think the people who deal in that type of money
See,
ever...
technically, Trump doesn't allocate it. It's because Congress has to make the law.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, do you think people who deal with, billions of dollars on that level ever have just like cash in their pocket?
Yeah, man, they must, because they're all out.
Yeah, but like
I'm gonna
that's
say it for
the
one
type of
reason.
level. If you're making that type of money, you'd only go places that were expensive and that are like money places, and everyone would know you. So you just walk in, they just assume, yeah, you can afford it.
Only reason I'm going to say yes, right, is a generational thing. There's very few people Well, actually, you know what? The people that are like at that position of power, where they're like, Mr. Trump, you need more money, or you need less, or you actually need to give me a rim job so I can before I go home, because he does that.
No, he'll have a government credit card.
You know, Donald Trump hands out rim jobs flat out in the White House.
You showed me photos.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I got one. It was class. Anyway, I think those kind of guys, right, who are worth billions and billions, they definitely grew up in an era where like cash was like, you walk about with a big wad of cash in your pocket and you're some fucking, you flop your cock down the table and you're mad with it. That's the only reason I say yes. Billionaires like, what's her name?
Any
That
level
fucking
of cash
general.
that you can fit in your pocket as a billionaire is meaningless to you.
But not that someone.
No, but it's not. It's not about the actual
The
cash.
table.
It's about what the actual cash represents.
Yeah.
So you pull out a wad of hundreds. That's a power play, man.
What of thousands? Is that a thing? Can you get lots of thousands? I don't know.
No, you can get. I'm pretty sure there's €1,000 note.
Yeah, euros go higher.
Yeah,
But they're predominantly used for things like,
Drugs.
yeah,
Yeah.
top scale
Yeah.
because they fit in a brief.
I've had a €500 note before.
Oh, what you
I
spend it
had
on,
all
Josh?
them and I had to get ID to
I've had a
break it
200.
down.
They have €200 notes as well, actually.
Yeah. Hang on, you get ID to break a
Yeah,
500?
no, so
Really?
I did a bit of work for a friend and he paid me and he was like, I've just got some euros. You're going to I think I was going to France. He was like, do you just want these euros instead of pounds? And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was just one €500 note.
Fast.
So I had to go I was going to Amsterdam and it's kind of like I can't just like go into a shop and be like, excuse me, it's like
Half a gram of weed, please. It's 500.
€500. So I had to go to the bank and like obviously because it's like there's a higher amount of crime in there. You had to prove who I was. Now I got it because it's just that's all it's used for. Like,
That's mad.
So how did you prove it?
well, just ID and a reason. Then they look at you. Really, if I came in like with a balaclava,
I wouldn't
on,
break it
I
for
think
you.
They'd probably be like, you wouldn't break it for
What
me.
was the reason, Intrigue?
Oh, it just doesn't work, and the guy paid me in a €500 note.
Okay, honest. fair.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, they're not like, they don't bring a guy with a gun out to sort of interrogate you. Like,
Spotlight in the face.
Okay.
No.
but it's just like
Why do you look like
they
Jeffrey
won't
Dahmer?
let you do anything with it. Most shops just wouldn't like look at it. So
Okay,
I couldn't even
yeah.
I couldn't go to a restaurant and get like a £700 meal and then use a £500 note because they wouldn't want to break it because they'd be like, no, I'm not touching that.
I'd
Okay.
split this between cash and card, please.
Yeah.
500.
To be fair, if you'd gone into a restaurant and spent like, I don't know, €80 and you'd given them that, they'd probably had the money to like.
They would, but they wouldn't want to because they'd just be like, you need to break that or pay in card. And nowadays in Europe, you can pay anywhere on card. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
They love it. The disappearance of cash.
Apart from the
We're
palm tree in
fucked.
London, man. I have a problem with them. I'm sure they're listening.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. I'm 100% certain that the palm tree in Mile End Park in East London is listening. Here we go.
Dave's starting beef.
I'm not starting beef. I already have beef. I'm just telling you about it.
Okay.
Right?
No, but there's internet beef
Pardon my
now.
French. No, this is true. This is true real life beef in face-to-face beef.
Yeah, but you're
Old
putting it
school
on the internet.
beef. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
This is both old school and new school beef.
It's going to blow up like Kanye West, man. Would you say this?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I got 2 points, but I'll not maybe do the second one. I don't know,
Okay,
whatever.
seven.
The first one was, during lockdown, fair enough, they opened up and you couldn't go inside, and the door to the pub is like on the corner, so it's that one of those weird like diagonal at an angle doors. And they just put a table in front of it, and it was kind of like a school tuck shop, right? You walked up to the table, and they were in their cash pub. They're cardless, specifically cardless. I always have been. Never had a card machine. It's cash only. And during COVID, you'd walk up, and they just made to make it easy for everyone to hand out less change and stuff. And I appreciate this. They made every pint a fiver, and all you get was what was on tap. They weren't doing cans. They weren't doing spirits or whatever because it required a glass. It was like, we can do you a pint. That's it. Everything's a fiver because it's pretty close to the real price, right? Cool. But they wouldn't give out change. If you went up with like a £20 note, I'm like, oh, can I just get a pint, please? I'm like literally on my way home from work. They'd be like, cool, thanks. And you'd be like, where's my £15 change? Ah, there's no change. Well, I don't want 4 pints, I want one. They're like, sorry, mate, COVID, no change. Fucked, right? Also, if you're not paying the tax you pay on card machines, at least make the pints a bit cheaper, for God's sake, for those playing cash. Like, they're charging normal card bar or pub prices for a pint, like £6.50 a pint for like a nice one. And you're taking fucking cash, you dodgy bastard. Knock it down to a fiver, would you? No. Cunts. Second time, wouldn't give my dog, not actually my dog, my friend's dog, but for easy use, my dog, a bowl of water in the middle of summer when it was dying of dehydration. Genuinely was like collapsing, it couldn't walk. Walked in for a bowl of water and a guy went off me because I didn't buy a pint at the same time. Fought him. Fuck 'em. Sorry. Anyway,
I cannot wait to send them that video.
good. He's scared of
I'm
me.
gonna clip it up and post it on Twitter.
Do.
There was a pub at me that during one of the lockdowns was serving like beer sort of out of a window, and it was kind of like takeaway pints. And we went there and they weren't serving it, and they were doing ice cream instead, like it's Mr. Whippy. And I just went over and I was like, "Well, I'm here. I'll have an ice cream." Went over and was like, "You know, in the beer," and he was like, "No, it was too risky and it was too much work because too many people turned up. So now we're doing ice cream, but I think we're going to stop that soon." And I was like, "Why are you going to stop that?" He's like, "We're just not selling much." And it's just like, yes. Pub in the middle of the country who's just coming out for a Mr. Whippy.
Hang on, did I misunderstand the beginning of that? Were they serving Mr. Whippy instead of pints?
Yeah, so they stopped
Amazing.
serving pints, but to keep the custom, they were just like, "Well, we have a Mr. Whippy thing, we'll do that," and it was just like, no,
Not really a good substitute, is it?
no, it's not. I mean, like we're gonna stop it because not enough people are coming. It's like, what a surprise.
I mean, it's something in your hand with a fag over a conversation, you know?
True.
I mean, if I go for a pint and there's a Mr. Whippy stand, sure,
Yeah, got a wee float.
but I don't feel the need to drive like a mile away to go
Get Mr.
like,
Whippy.
to sit down and have a Mr. Whippy, you know.
Fuck, man, could you imagine a lager float? Never mind a Coke float.
Lager float.
Oh my god. Well, not even a float, just a Mr. Whippy poured in the top third of your pint. Like,
Maybe that would be amazing.
actually, it might be. We're just sort of assuming it's going to be shit, but it might be good.
Probably.
Maybe. Let's find out.
Have we just invented the greatest dessert / drink ever?
It's a little common person's digestif.
Jack Daniels advert at the moment is mix, you know, their mixer cans, spirits do. But it'll be like a Jack Daniels float, so ice cream on the top, or a spider they call it in Australia.
A
which is-
spider?
Spider is ice cream in a Coke, which is just a floater.
Yeah, it's floating it.
Is a spider in Australia. I don't know why. But Jack Daniels have started advertising it, and one thing I noticed from it was just kind of like the advertisers, if they just came up with it, they're like, "Whoa, put some ice cream in your Jack Daniels and Coke, it's a floater, whoa!" And it's just like this is something that's been done since like Coke was invented. It was like a way of keeping Coke cold. Just
I hope their marketing department got a major bonus.
probably did. I mean,
Oh.
they probably all just sort of gave each other hand jobs and called it a day. Like,
Like Donald Trump in the White House.
Hey.
Yeah. Give yourself like a few hand jobs, call it a day. Don't get
yeah.
anything
I mean,
done.
what else are you going to do as a president?
Why do you think he hired Mike Pence?
Wank pence.
Wait.
Dave's gonna become infamous on the internet for tonight's episode. We got him a bit drunk, and now
Like the fourth time. No, but it's just my microphone's been drinking. It's not me.
that's
You guys aren't hearing it right.
okay. That's like, you know, people's thumbs are just racist on Twitter. It's
No,
not
they're
them.
just racist.
It's just their thumbs.
Yeah, I'm special.
Anyway, so speaking of cash,
Go on. I know what you're going to say. I don't like it.
cash is going away.
Oh, they're going to like try and do a really shit meander into GameStop. It's by saying
No,
cash,
no,
Oh,
no,
cash
no,
is
no.
going away. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the pandemic. Heightened that. Why
Scares me.
change?
I don't want it. No. We need cash,
Yeah,
or we need
sure.
some form of currency not controlled by the government.
Not to be too conspiracy minded here, but if there
You're
were
on the wrong
sort of, like,
podcast if you think you're worried. You
if
should
there was,
worry
if there
about
was some
that.
sort of like,
Have you said you saw some of my previous guests, man? Some of them are really off the wall.
but there's a theory about solar flares. Where if a solar flare hits it,
It's not
it's like an
conspiracy.
EMP.
It's not
And it's
conspiracy.
happened before or something.
Yeah.
Like, there was a
Yeah.
blackout for a while because of it.
It's not that. It was like a few years ago, or not a few years ago. There was
but
one like fairly
if
recently
the-
where we
if the
like
real
because of where the flare was and where the Earth was, we were like narrowly missed. You're nodding. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Okay, that's good.
But it essentially just knocks out all electricity, and because so much is run digitally now,
Oh, we'd be
money
fucked. It would just
and
wipe
banks just
everything.
burn money as soon as you give it to them. They just chuck it in a fire because they don't need it. Like they'll just get some more money from the bank to hand out to people when they want 20 quid. Like who takes money out at a bank? Like, when was the last time you went to a bank to take money out?
Not to buy drugs, anyway.
Definitely not to buy
Yeah.
any sort of illicit
No,
substance.
but I mean like walking
whatsoever.
to a bank and being like, "Hey, can I get some money out?" Like you go to a cash machine, sure,
Yeah.
that's like a sealed box in the wall. Like you don't go to a bank anymore. They don't have like, you know, money is not really, and that's all fresh money out of the cash machine. Like fresh, good money. You know, when you get it.
It's actually worth more.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. But
But
they just burn it, and it's all just digital, and all the money they deal with is just a number on a screen. So as soon as that goes down, no one's got any money. Shops don't have money. You
Yeah.
can't buy things.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. They have backups.
no, they don't.
Yeah, they fucking do.
of every record right now as it exists.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether or not
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether or not it deletes it. You just
You know,
won't
where
be
the
able to
where the
use it.
backups held, if we get hit with a flare, it will wipe all
Tell
the
you
hard
one,
drives.
actually. I'll tell you one that I know of. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Probably not. There's a... You know what? I'll not use any names. I'll just tell you what it is. I used to work for a whatever. There's a software that exists.
Okay.
that is the back-end software for banks. It's not used an awful lot. It's mostly in private wealth management firms, like very wealthy ones, whatever. But their backup server is in an enormously deep basement underneath a mountain in Switzerland, where actually a lot of the financial digital backups for the world are stored, which is completely safe from any like outside force, essentially. And they're completely isolated. They only get used. They're always on, but they only get connected to the internet and uploaded into a bank's systems once something catastrophic was to happen, like a loss of all records. But even that backup has backups an extra layer down.
Whoa.
So it's a thing. Like, it would take... Someone would have to go down there and blow the whole thing up, which is like... I can imagine it's probably impossible. It's definitely super heavily secure, you'd imagine. Then, for all the world's banks' computers to be wiped out and erased and eliminated off the cloud as well, because have some fucking cloud computing now.
Usage of that though still relies on people having this like infrastructure of
Oh, yeah.
connectivity. Otherwise,
100%.
it's just a little storage thing that will exist past
That's it.
whatever. And you know, maybe after humanity, after some cataclysm, someone finds it or something finds it, and it's like, oh, look at all this information. But to us, in the moment, if there's no electricity or no power, then it's useless. Like, you know, even
true.
if the money is saved somewhere, you don't have it, and so you can't buy anything, and then suddenly it's just utter chaos. And I feel like, in some ways, that state of society, if gone to purposefully, properly, might be some sort of utopian ideal. But if you're just dropped in it and suddenly there's just no money and it's just like, well, you can't buy anything.
You turn this
Everyone's
1
still
to 0.
You're still expecting pay, but suddenly everything is nothing. Like,
The original sort of classic bank that we know it from was it the Medici family in Italy, is now what all financial institutes are based on. The reason they were able to start, excuse me, I've got the hiccups, was they essentially turned a zero they split a zero in half. And what they have, one half is now in debit and one half is now in credit, and we can begin. Because banks don't, I can't remember the theory behind this. Somebody much more intelligent than me will be able
It's
to.
fractional reserve banking.
Yeah, it's like you can't just put money into the bank to begin. You have to start with zero and be able to have debit and credit at the same time. It has to exist like that, or something. I can't quite remember what it is, but it's something really bizarre that the whole banking system is built on something which is mathematically impossible.
it's all built on like imaginary money. Essentially, like they
Literally.
loan their fake amount of money to, you know, their number of money to another bank, for that bank to then be like, all right, you're loaning it to us, we're paying our fake interest on that or whatever, and it's just continuous, it's just back and forth, just like, yeah, no, we have this number on the screen that's apparently our money, that's how much everyone's supposedly put in. You know,
Trust me,
if they all want it, we haven't got it, but you know, we've got it supposedly. Do you want to loan it and maybe pay some interest or something, or we'll like put it up against this, make some money off of that, and it's all just numbers on screens that don't ever see anything or do anything.
Tell you what's
right?
mad, actually. I'll leave you with one bit before I say my piece. This is my final bit, and it's quite short. There are people out there that are developing, juniors, seniors, whatever, that are developing back-end systems for banks. And in their development environment, have the possibility, it's all live data, all anonymized, so you don't know who it is, right? And they have the ability to change the numbers in people's accounts, right? In the development environments, you can play with stuff and do whatever, fine. You could, theoretically, if you wanted, as a developer, to have access to these systems, you could change a number and you could push it into the QA environment, into testing, and push it into production, so that the value actually fucking changes.
It's because it's all
Now,
numbers.
there's rigorous testing in place for these things. But if you're good enough at your job and you were in charge of that particular, you know, software development lifecycle in that particular bank or institution,
Go and
you could.
change the number.
You could. You probably wouldn't get away with it for very long because there's continual checks, like historical checks, to
If
make
you did
sure
it
that
once.
doesn't make sense.
Just did it once.
If you did it once, and added an extra zero and then fucked off,
Yeah.
you might get away with it. Pretty hard,
So
but you
you were
might.
saying you had this like impromptu holiday planned. That's not anything to do with
There's only
that.
one way to afford a hoodie this nice, mate. You know what I mean?
But it's really because it's all just numbers on a screen. That's the
all
fucking
bullshit.
problem. It's all a bunch of fucking
But
fugazi.
the only way to really,
The fugazi.
Yeah.
it's the only way to facilitate a world built on capital.
Wrong. The money used to be backed by something.
It's true.
And right around 1971, 73,
Yeah, sure. But
like a ridiculous amount of like downward trends began to happen in society, and this is a real thing. It's like, go to the website. I think it's I'll put the link in the description. I will find it, but it's like what happened in 1971 basically .com.
was that after it was gold?
After it was gold back before, and then they took it off they took it off the
Isn't it based
decoupled it
on
from the
the
gold.
dollar now? Or,
It's the petrodollar, but it's not based on anything. It's like
so it's based on something that's not based on it.
yeah, and they've spent the last 40 years endlessly, and then the last 10 especially, like just debasing the currencies beyond belief. Like the amount of extra money in the system that's been pumped in over the past 12 years has been obscene. Like in Britain, and this was only up to like 2017 or 18, I think, there was an extra 435 billion pounds just like inserted at the top of the stock market. And that's where it
Wicked.
goes, and that's where it stays.
What do you think is the amount of money a person needs to have not just like all their amenities covered, but everything it takes to be a human successfully? So like,
Are you talking
entertainment,
like salary wise?
It's definitely subjective.
It's subjective, but like, what's the top range of like, so that you've got like
Again, it's
access
subjective
to.
because
Okay,
you
so
can
like
live the best
you know-
lifestyle for a low amount of money. It's just
Yeah, I mean, if
premium.
you're someone who's not happy with a mansion, then that's your problem. But like, more just sort of if you wanna, like, so you got food, water, housing, electricity all covered,
The basics.
all the basics covered. But you've also got like opportunity, public transport, like
Spending money.
spending money, entertainment, and things like that. Like, and your living in conditions are well kept and maintained and everything. What do you think? On top of that, how much do you think people actually need? Like, people can want more.
How much land does a man need, mate?
Yeah, there's like a thing there was like a study done in America on this, and it's like people needed like $70,000 a year, and then beyond that,
Which is really not much.
and then
considering
beyond that, it was like it
a lot
didn't
of
make a
money.
difference.
it's a lot of money for like an average, but it's really not much compared to what there is.
But like, I'm interested. What you said was like, what does someone need to be a successful human?
yeah,
And one could make the argument that that number is zero.
potentially. But I don't see just existing in some sort of animalistic state as being a human.
No.
Or something. What are they?
Sorry, something really funny happened off camera. We're not going to say what it was. Tickled me.
But
Oh,
just
God.
that, like, theoretically, you don't need anything. Like,
Anyway,
aside from like, hopefully like parents and a family.
define success though. Like that's what
Yeah.
you define.
You said successful human. That was just what I meant. It's just like,
Yeah, well, I mean, like, not struggling to live. Not.
But in the current climate.
Yeah, so
In
you
the current
have
climate,
the opportunity to just
Do
do
what?
nothing if you
Yeah.
want. You can do nothing. You can do everything. What do you think the amount of money a
Do
a single
everything.
human
See, now my
that would
my thing is-
that would vastly change like the value
do
of
everything,
money.
I'm
okay,
good.
do everything within in like a rational sense. So then, like, you want to be a pilot, you can go learn to be a pilot. Not like do everything like, oh, I want to be God King of the world. Like,
Well, I think do nothing is a much lower threshold in terms of how much you need to make a year, because you can just exist. You can do your food shop, you can cook, you can watch your shows, play your video games, play your music, whatever it is in the house, and that's like, I assume that's what you mean by nothing. You sit in your arse all day
Yeah.
and smoke weed and do whatever, right?
yeah,
I'd
I
say
mean, I
20
would
I'd
go to
say-
the extreme of just lying on the floor
that's
face
so
down.
much
but-
cheaper than, it's not to attack you by the way, but I think to say you're going to be able to do anything like, oh, I want to be a pilot, I want to go and become like a mountaineer, I want to go like rock climb in Yosemite for 10 years, that is way much more, so much more than what it takes to just do nothing. And if we're talking about, let's take the worst case scenario, I guess London is one of the most expensive cities to live in the world. Let's take that as an example. To exist and do nothing, are we talking, are you renting or do you have a mortgage? Like, do you own a house?
I mean, I'm just sort of.
'Cause it's like a
I would
lot.
say, what's the top range of all of that?
Oh, top range of all that, man. It's like, Jesus, I don't know, like
40k here.
nah, man, it's like £200,000 a year because you got to afford to live.
£200,000 a year.
And if you're off, like
That's it.
if you're off doing mountaineering and you're off doing your pilot's license or
Yeah.
whatever, pilot's is what, 70 grand a year? Like, where are you gonna
More.
get that kind of more? Yeah, where are you gonna get that kind of money from? Or if you're off doing those fun things like traveling, are you going to be renting a place here to come back to, whilst paying for accommodation? Blah, blah, blah.
How much money is in?
I would
the
say.
world?
I would also say that like.
Lots.
Oh,
Millions and
Sharing
billions.
of
Do you think it could be an affordable thing for everyone
no,
to get it?
I don't think that works.
No,
Completely changes the dynamic of how our entire society functions, and therefore you can't.
maybe.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, but like-
no, but then we don't have the same amount of money. It's like you can say like, what if we had this system now and all the money that exists in this system, and then we took all that money and completely changed the system, then all that money wouldn't exist.
That's just because that's how we built it, though.
No,
Yeah,
no.
like-
But
Like,
like,
it's always been
no, but
power.
what,
It's always
what,
been
what I'm
exchange
saying is
currency
that
and
like
so forth.
the wealth that you're saying we could redistribute if we like reoriented society to be like this wouldn't exist if we reoriented society because we would be focused on other things.
So
And
yeah,
so
no,
you'd be
I
like,
get
you
that.
know what I
But,
mean?
like, so because I feel like the point you're making is that a vast amount of the money and the quantity of money we have comes from the fact that there are people that can, and this is a harsh way to put, exploit the system, like exploit the fact that there's money to make
It's a
more
game.
money.
They win the well, not win the game,
like
but they
with
play the
banks
game.
and it's
Yeah.
fake money.
Well, yeah, that's
the
another
reason they
thing.
can
That's a
just
rigged
make so
game.
much money is because they're essentially using this system where they create money.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had a system where everyone wasn't
Hmm.
that, I don't know, it wouldn't create so much money. But then would that come back with we need less of it? So
Quite
the
possibly.
average or the top end cost of someone doing something in society would be less.
What we all need to do,
We'd probably there'd be less luxury. There'd probably be more competence, but less luxury. Like things would be more functional, but then there would be less of the high end.
But then, would there?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
You think people won't just
Because-
make nice
because-
things because they want nice things?
No, right, but like the
I love having nice
the,
things.
the super wealthy class exist, and a lot of the things that then become like things that we adopt like 20, 30 years later when they become affordable. But like that.
Fuck the super wealthy class.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's like 10 people.
But yeah,
Oh.
no, it's more than 10 people. But it's like
No,
there's
12.
there's a lot of products. There's a lot of products that only exist because they have the money to pay for them.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. But then a lot of how much of the money, I mean, obviously there's so many different things that they could buy. You know, we're talking like high end stuff, so like cars, planes, you know, like houses and things.
children.
How much of that stuff is the price like actually equivalent to how much of that stuff is the price actually equivalent to what has gone into it and the effort that's gone into it compared to the effort of things that aren't actually rewarded in that way.
Oh yeah, like there's definitely
a luxury boat might be like ridiculous amounts of money, but like boats that are all made of wood are all cut down by loggers that have the most dangerous jobs, and if they're paid piss, then it's not equivalent to how much the boats are actually worth. Because you could say the most dangerous and heavy duty area of the production of this boat was getting the resources, because the person building it, while it's a labourer's job, is not putting their lives in danger. But they're getting, you know, the company that owns the person who builds it makes the most amount of money, and it's like how much of that is actually equal to the labour that's gone into it.
None of it.
Well, I mean, but like I think that's like I guess I meant more specific, like in terms of where you'd have say like TV, right? So TV was like a luxury product, and then it got like the technology got developed because people were like spending money on the luxury product, and then it becomes like more usable for like it becomes cheaper because they figure out how to do it cheaper, and then everyone has one. Then like the big screen TVs come along, and that's like the luxury thing, and then money gets poured into that because like
Porn
there's
looks
people
class in
there's
MTVs,
people
man. Porn looks class in MTV.
yeah 4K but like it's like a yes, we could reorient society and like focus our resources on like things that like handmade high quality stuff. But like there would definitely be an aspect of like a lot of our high tech stuff that I think just wouldn't exist.
I read something a while ago, and this would be something that we. I'm not going to say a number without checking, but how much of new inventions are government, because the government pours loads of money into research. A lot of the things, the inventions,
Not as much as they used to, unfortunately.
but still, a lot of the inventions you get from private companies for like phones and technology and things is based on the fact that the government just went trial and error on a material over and over and over and over and over again. Then they realized this is the best material, so the private company came along and bought that material, and it was like, look, we're using this new nanofiber mesh.
I think NASA is quite a nice example of that. It's like the classic example of how government-funded innovation created a lot of things that we really, I think, take for granted in day-to-day life. The moon landing gave us Velcro, for one. Gave us the CD, like a laser-read CD. Gave us the MRI machine from, not the moon landing, but NASA, their technology gave us the MRI machine. Tons and tons of stuff. There was something, I don't know if I'm correct in saying this, but I feel like this is what I read. Somebody please check this. But I think NASA gets more money from the patents that they have on things that they discovered along the way than they do from government funding. Something like that.
And compare that to,
I'm not sure.
just to sort of bring it back, Elon Musk, SpaceX,
What?
how much of his technology, I mean, it's not his, it's thousands of engineers that work for him.
Yeah.
He didn't come into the boardroom and was like, he was probably just like, fucking rocket ship.
He's a money man.
Maybe? And the engineers were like,
Actually,
"It's gonna be a lot
to be
more."
fair, one thing I do know is that he does spend quite a lot of time like in the factories working with engineers
Yeah,
on
he says he
shit.
sleeps in his office, but he's probably got a big fucking bed in his office.
No, but, like,
But the fact of the matter
I'm
is,
just telling you
how
what
much-
I've read.
How
He's
much?
Just
a
telling you
wanker,
what I've
mate.
read.
Nah,
He
that's
might
the
be a
classic.
wanker.
Nah, hang on.
He could be a cunt. He might be a cunt.
He's the classic, I'm a boss and I care about your job. Get absolutely fucked, mate. You're literally a billionaire. What the fuck are you doing down there pretending you care?
No, I don't think he.
get a rim job.
I don't think he cares. I think he genuinely. I don't think he cares. I think he genuinely enjoys the engineering.
No.
I
I mean, he might.
He's not
He
an
might.
engineer.
But
He's
he's
got
not
no
gonna
engineering
understand.
degrees. He's in like economics in school and then lied about his degrees.
Like
he's not an engineer. He did a bit of coding and has had reviews
Hasn't
from
done
other
for
people where they
years.
were like, his coding was kind of. Right.
Look,
And then he just
look,
bought his way into companies. But
I'm just telling you what I've read that people who work at those companies say.
Well,
I don't know.
I just don't believe
whatever happens at his companies, how much technology has come from Tesla?
Oh, that I totally
that
agree
is
with you.
Not allowed to be used because Tesla's like, no, we own it. Like.
Oh no, they
Elon
open
Musk-
sourced a bunch of
Elon
shit.
Musk has
actually.
like very
Yeah, he did,
few
yeah.
patents in his name on the Tesla car, but the things he does have are things like the charging port and like the shape of the car. The technicality.
Yeah, but didn't they open source that
Yeah, I'm
stuff?
pretty sure they did. That's how we saw the explosion of like other car manufacturers all using the same engine. No, is that not?
Yeah.
It might be the same engine, but like the charging port.
No, because they've open sourced it because they want everyone because they want their charging port to become the one, so they open sourced it.
But the thing is, he didn't fucking design the charging port. His engineers that he paid designed.
Oh,
the
yeah,
charging port.
definitely.
He has the copyright on it so that he could then sell it to other people. Whereas the government creates stuff kind of just because it's like.
Oh, no,
well, the
that I
government
agree
kind
with
of
you
just
on, man.
create stuff and we make it like that. So like NASA, every time it makes something new, it just goes to the technological world and goes, "Hey, we've made this thing. Use it."
Yeah, man.
then they get
I'd love to see way more government investment in R&D, especially in like fucking energy tech.
in the right places.
Yeah.
Is the caveat to that because there's definitely loads of spending in government R&D.
Yeah,
which
true.
is shit that the general public don't care about or B will be killed by. So
But I mean, the green energy or the what was it? The
nuclear energy.
the Green Investment Bank that
Oh,
the
yeah.
government were running from like 2010 onwards. They pumped a bunch of money into it. They were doing some really cool research in like renewable energy and that sort of jazz. And then along came the moment when it became profitable. And what did we do? Fucking sold it to a bunch of asset stripping banks.
God love
like in this
capitalism
monstrous
nowadays.
financial conglomerate of pieces of shit who just shredded it.
It baffles me anything to do with renewable energy not being just like
Common sense.
just jumped on by a government because it's like the whole concept of it is that it's free energy.
But it's also our energy.
Yeah,
it's also
it's
like
ours.
we don't have to worry
It's free.
about what the
And
fuck's happening in Ukraine.
if you
We don't have to
harness
worry
it-
about like pissing off the Saudis. Like we could just like have our own energy.
I think therein lies the problem financially for a lot of people, though, is the fact that renewable energy is a, relatively speaking, endless energy source. The fact that fossil fuels are not endless, they have an end, means that they will become more expensive and therefore more profitable.
Even still, there is
Something endless will eventually be worthless if you go long enough, because it's going to become so normal and so abundant. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a finite market in a sense.
So that's probably why people are investing in it.
But with oil, they like scans of the earth and like how they've like tracked how much oil there is. There's so much oil under the ground that in our lifetimes we will never see an end of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we just
yeah,
cannot.
there's shit tons of it,
It
man.
is for us conceptually, it's infinite,
And
we
that's
have
just
the ability to
oil.
pull
Like
as
the
much as we
gas
want.
reserves
Yeah,
are
but we'll see an end
ridiculous.
of us.
So
not an end of
really,
it. That's
the problem isn't necessarily the resource; it's the people in charge of the resource and the way we're going about distributing it. Because with renewable energy, like there are companies that are jumping on it and like taxing people for it. You know, like you get solar panels and you get like tax for it or something, and it's just kind of like, well, no, because I'm putting energy back into the grid. Like,
Don't you get tax exemptions?
there's you can in some places, but then some countries have like shown that they're manipulated by fossil fuel industries, and they essentially just put on taxes and like reasons to not go renewable energy.
Yeah.
So, like
Actually, funnily enough, my brother was looking to put. He was talking to my dad about, or our dad, about putting solar panels on his roof, and he was like, "I think it's quite a good idea." Yeah, I think it was like 15 grand. It was quite expensive. This is a number of years ago, before they got a bit cheaper. He's like, "But 15 grand, it's a lot of money." And my dad's like, "Oh, son, that's loads." And I was, "Yeah, but there's government incentives, and after about 10 years, you've paid them off, and the national grid is actually paying you for your energy because you're producing so much for the amount of roof space that he had on his house. Mind you, it's in Belfast, so it's not the sunniest place in the world, but still works in UV rays, not direct sunlight, so whatever." I think my dad managed to talk him out of it because he's like, "Oh, it's not a good investment, like blah blah blah." And now with how efficient solar panels have actually become, the amount of money that the national grid would pay you is like, he's like, "Mate, that's like half my fucking mortgage every month." Now his mortgage is tiny, to be fair, but he's like, still, it's like half my mortgage every month. It's quite a bit of money, like a few hundred quid.
Yeah.
And our dad talked him out of it, and now he's like, "No, they're more expensive to buy because they've got better." But they are a good investment, and it's going to continue to be a good investment. I think they're class. I can't wait to get them.
Do you know what's going to happen though? I spoke to a couple of electricians about this,
Well,
and I was just like, why don't they just give everyone solar panels?
Yeah,
No, like, right, okay,
Why not?
this was really my question,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, Boris Johnson was up here like, "Oh, yeah, we're going to do loads of green investment stuff." And I was like, what? Like, what if you just give everyone, like, a voucher for solar panels and they could just spend it at whatever solar panel people they wanted? And that would mean all the local businesses would get like people coming in getting solar panels, fucking loads of money for the local economy. Like then there'd be like repair work, like just it would create like plenty of work for like
it's a whole industry.
yeah, whole industry, exactly, right? And I asked these electricians about it, and they were like, "Yeah, we'd be fucked, like because our grid wouldn't be able to handle that. We don't. It's
it'd be a surge of power. It needs to be increased.
yeah, it's surge of power.
can't do it all at
We
once.
don't have the battery tech." So there's like a whole other like layer of shit that we need to invest
you
in
can't
as well.
Just, slap solar panels on every house in the country.
But I used to
then-
think it was that easy.
But this is the thing. What you're suggesting is creating an entire industry. Why can't you just include in that suggestion also giving more money and opportunities to people to get into the industry of building the grid and repairing it?
Yeah.
That's like going, "Oh, why don't we make things better?" It's because, well, we'll have to hire more people. It's like, well,
Fucking
isn't
hire
that the
them.
point?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
We want more people.
It was more about like just that politicians like to talk about these big massive gestures instead of like I really wish they would
That's not
stop
big.
going to COP27 and they would actually just like do
Yeah,
something.
do you know?
Like,
I looked up on, I think it was on some wind turbine website, and it took about 6 months to a year for a wind turbine to pay off its creation, its like setup,
yeah.
the resources required to build everything, 25 years of usage, its breakdown, and its recycle into the next wind
6 months.
turbine. 6 months to a year.
fucking nothing.
There's nothing, and it charges something like 13,000 homes or something
Taking
ridiculous.
shit's longer than 6
And
months.
if you could just, that, cover the fucking coast. What's in the Atlantic Sea? I mean, most of the life on Earth, but like,
What's in that tiny segment?
Yeah,
where
what's,
we create all the fucking wind
what's
farms?
just off the coast of fucking Dover, other than some ferries? Like, just cover it in wind turbines.
Actually, already a wind farm, to be fair.
Build it, make it bigger,
Yeah.
and add like tidal and things like that. You know, it's like these things are relatively cheap, and like you say, they're getting better. Like,
Oh, always, man, always.
for a government,
We need that.
Have
we
you
need
seen
that
the
fusion
new?
energy.
Have you seen the new generation of wind turbines? I'll get on to fusion energy in just a sec. Actually,
The like the tall ones that are like the
yeah, the fucking wobblers.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah,
seen them?
yeah,
The wind turbine ones that wobble.
yeah.
Anti-bird death. Love it. Right. The name. Don't really give a shit, but still, they just wobble. It's like a big stick. And it goes like this. Just wobbles. I don't know if that's on camera, like, but you know, it just goes like this.
yeah.
And that's quite cool. If you were
It's like a
walking
wiffle ball bat, it's like stuck in the
Yeah.
ground on a spring, and it generates like loads of electricity.
You know, we don't build structures anymore as humans. When we build like new structures, we don't build them like we used to, where it was just sort of like, yeah, big square fucking brick building, like
Put a walls on it, put a roof on it.
or like
Wiki.
I mean, we do, but like you know, like electricity pylons and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just like it was way more function before because it was just like steel and concrete, and now it's kind of like, right, we've got to build this, but why we need to make it like environmentally friendly, like, and we need to make it look like, you get a lot of things that look like
Living-
trees and
living
stuff.
houses.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, the things with all the green stuff on the outside are very stupid. We shouldn't be making those
Fucking why, dickhead?
because all they do is attract bugs and fucking birds and
You
all
mean
that
nature?
shit. Yeah, it causes
Oh
mold.
yeah, that thing that we're
and
definitely
also,
not a part of. Oh yeah.
also, all of these buildings will be torn down in 50 years.
I'm so-
The most sustainable kind of buildings are the ones that stand for 500 years.
So I agree with you. However, I don't
Because
see
the
why.
biggest carbon
I don't
footprint-
see why those buildings shouldn't have a couple of shrubs up a wall. Know what I mean? Fuck's wrong with
or
that?
maybe we could just do it better. Like it's got, you know, like it's pretty early concept. I feel for like living wall buildings. We could do it where it's not decrepit.
No, but like then you do courtyard buildings. You have a massive garden in the middle.
Nah,
All the
fucking-
apartments
nah,
around the
yeah.
outside.
We've already like.
I want to walk in a garden naked and have no one looking at me. I do that.
Look,
currently
then
in the
go
open
live
house.
in the fucking country.
No, I do it in central London. Like, leave me alone. Although you are talking about, like, I was actually chatting to Jim on the way down here earlier on. I've always had this idea since I was a kid about building my own house. And
wow,
as-
that's
as
very
I've got-
original.
As I've got, I know how I'm actually the first person ever to build their own house.
Sorry,
I
what's
will
that
be.
house?
A house is a thing that all your money goes and creates a lot of stress. Talking from personal experience. So no, but as I got older, I realized that I wanted to do like an eco home thing, and I'm not talking like a proper like hut in the fucking woods with like one veg patch and like half a bed and like a third of a chair or something. No, like a fucking functioning home, like a home that's
It's not hard to buy a chair though.
yeah, but
It's probably more difficult to buy a third of a chair.
Yeah, like how do you get a third
actually
of a
yeah,
chair?
it's probably quite tricky to buy a third of a chair. I'd be quite DFS wouldn't have it, even though it's always a third off. Hey,
I'm just imagining you
the permanent
breaking.
sale.
I'm just imagining you breaking a chair and just sitting on a bit of.
It's very
wood and,
depressing. Just like
it's on
one
the
leg,
floor, like,
one and a half legs, you know. But like as I got older, I want to do one of these things like an earth ship, where the house is built half into the ground, half it's out. Where the way you engineer the vents and the air intakes and outtakes in it, depending what time of year it is, either you close the vents for heat or you open them on the windows, let the air through in the summer for cool. Built-in silage system can feed into some kind of garden or a bit of a veg patch, or if you want to grow some food or you want to do whatever. And what water catchment? I don't really give a shit about being off the electrical grid, but yes, I'd have solar panels, and that's kind of
You
where
should have a Bitcoin miner for your heat.
I'd rather shit my hand than clap.
No.
would
There's
also
people
work.
installing.
Load of heat, to be fair.
There's people installing that to run the heating in their house. There's like a company doing it in Scandinavia somewhere.
Well, a lot of Bitcoin mining, I think it was
Bitcoin users.
a thing I read a while ago. It might be completely wrong now. It was something like 73% of Bitcoin mining was done on renewable energy because
That's
if
exactly
if
right.
You have a whole factory
Yeah.
full of computers. You'll go to the place that gives you a tax break on
Yeah.
renewable energy because
Yeah.
why not?
It actually only happened like that. That number only got hit after China banned it.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Because China were running it like all China's
How many
electric
homes
is
in the
coal.
UK actually are run off renewables? Because you have what is it, Octopus Energy there for the renewable, or Bulb? The one I had was Bulb. They just went under and they got
We're
bought by
getting
Octopus.
panels,
But
and apparently it's like
Yeah.
they were. But the directional house is built, and every house on our street is just the worst. Apparently, for solar
not
panels. They were just
south-facing.
like, yeah, you're
North.
just- yeah, it's just every house here is just sorry, it's just a lot of money. We're still getting them, but
There are some energy suppliers in the UK though that do get their at least their electrical supply from fully renewable.
That's cool.
I think Bulb was one, but then literally just got under. I think I got an email like 2 weeks ago.
It's one of the I watched this thing about environmental impact, and one of them was you know, like the meat industry and things like that. But the top one was energy and where you get your energy from. And so it was like one of the, if you don't want to go like vegan or something, one of the best ways you can like have your own, I don't know, carbon footprint is all bollocks from Exxon and whatever, and it's all just like, whoa, we're 90% of the problems is big business, but whatever you can do, the best thing you can do is deal with like energy suppliers. So if you can switch to like a renewable energy supplier, obviously depends on where you are and how much money you've got, but that's like one of the biggest effects you can have if you don't want to cut down on meat, because that's like the second biggest.
Josh, I have literally anywhere else to be this evening. Do you have any final words? If not, can we end?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you anyone who decided to tune in the whole way to the end. I'm not sure how many people are still going to be with us. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.
Sorry, Josh. Is this a good time to interrupt for another beer?
Yes. It's the perfect time to interrupt for another beer. So, thanks everyone for listening.
Get around you.
Thanks very much, boys. Hey everyone, thanks for making it right the way to the end of the podcast. I love that you tuned in this long. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, because 80% of you bastards are not subscribing, but you're watching my videos. See you next time.